Are we due for a short-term correction in the cryptocurrency markets? Will we see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoins pull back? Will we see the greed indicators get reset? Or will we get an ETF approval and everything will pump like crazy? Well, let's dive into the charts today. Let me share with you my thoughts on where I see the markets being currently and what I expect for the next couple days and couple weeks ahead. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow my page on Instagram, and of course, smash the like button if you do enjoy these updates. Okay, so the last couple weeks, and especially the last few days, the whole crypto market is basically just watching if we are going to get an ETF approval. There is lots of volatility. We're seeing the price make big moves due to people sending out these rumors. Are we going to get an approval? Are we going to get delayed? Are we going to get rejected? That is really the big imminent kind of event in the crypto space. You can see over here, Bitwise, this account here on Twitter, saying less than half of all advisors expect the spot Bitcoin ETF in 2024. So the majority of advisors here expect it not to happen, but Bloomberg ETF analysts peg the likelihood of a January approval at 90%. So we are only in the first week of January now. Will we get that approval or not? And I think a lot of the market moves are going to be dependent on whether we get this or not. If we do get an ETF approval, I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin just skyrocket towards 50,000 very, very quickly. But if we don't get it, if it gets delayed or even just flat out rejected, we might see short-term correction, and I will show you more about that in the charts too. Adding to the ETF speculation, whether or not we will get it, is that we are seeing various funds create these commercials now and releasing them for Bitcoin. So since it's only 27 seconds, let me play this for you real quick.
Cash or credit?
What? The home of the Whopper is offering cash or credit.
I think it's pretty bad if you have to use a credit card when you go to a fast food restaurant.
All your girls standing together like that, I can't take it.
So you can see, we're starting to see, this isn't the only one, there's a couple others, I'm not going to play them all, but this is adding to the speculation that, hey, if they're making all these commercials already, does that mean it's basically a given that we are going to get an ETF? It's just a matter of time. And then the question is, does it get approved now, early in January, or maybe only in the next few weeks or a few months down the line? Again, those deadlines span all the way up to, I believe, up to May. So it doesn't necessarily mean we get an approval right away in January. Now, one thing that is also here that might be a little bit of a cause for alarm or concern in terms of a short-term correction is the fact that there is a lot of greed in the market. Now, we are not yet at extreme greed, where it would really go deep into the green to the end of this. But you can see we are at greed at 70, and you can see here for the past month we have been at greed. So there is that frothiness and that overall expectation that we are going to continue the pump. So like I said, if we get that ETF approval in January, I think this is probably justified, and we probably continue that pump till like 50K or maybe even higher. Maybe it just continues to rocket from here. But due to everyone betting on this ETF approval and being positioned long and having all this greed and frothiness in the market, if we don't get an approval and delay or maybe a rejection, that could see a nice continued flush and damage to this sentiment. So a couple days ago, we had a nice big drop from like 45,000 to just in the low 40,000s. But that did not do any damage to this fear and greed sentiment. It didn't cause fear in the market. In fact, the markets just went straight back up. So that also leads me to believe that there is a decent chance that we may get a bit more of a correction in the short term if we don't get that ETF approval to really get this back to at least neutral, maybe even a little bit fearful. So if Bitcoin were to drop to say like 39, 38,000, something like that in the next 1 to 2 weeks, this would probably reset this greed and we'd get back to more normal levels. It might even create a bit of fear in the market if we get that drop in Bitcoin and altcoins drop 20, 30, 40% in the short term. That might create some fear, which would be healthy for this reset. Now, let's take a look here at the Bitcoin chart. We're at 43,600 at this point in time. And as you can see here on the weekly chart, this is obviously still a very strong bullish trend. So don't confuse short-term pullbacks with a reversal of the bullish trend. This trend is bullish and it only becomes bearish on the higher time frame once we lose these key moving averages at 30,000. So we could technically drop back all the way to $30,000, bounce, and then continue moving higher again without this invalidating the bullish trend. Keep that in mind. So when I talk about a short-term pullback, if we drop $5,000 or $10,000 in the next 2 weeks, that's going to create a lot of fear. People are going to start saying, oh, the bull market is over, etc., etc. But that is exactly what we would need for a healthy correction. And I want to show you that over here. This actually happened right over here in 2021. And this looks small on this trend, but you can see we had a very strong bullish trend here, and then we got that pullback. And do you know when that started? Look here, January of 2021. We're in January of 2024, okay? So the same timing, the same period. And while this looks like a very small pullback, actually if you zoom in, it's pretty large because it went here from reaching a peak of 42,000 and it dropped to 29,000. That is a drop of 30%, right? So that is a $12,000 drop in a period of literally 2 weeks. 3 weeks. Okay, so we are in a similar situation. We are also at a very similar level. Okay, that reached a peak of 42,000. We here reached a peak of 45, almost 46,000. So similar level, similar time. January also. This was also in January. So imagine we get a correction here from about 46, drop at 12,000. That would make it 34,000. That would create a lot of fear because that's still almost a $10,000 move to the downside, especially if that were to happen like within a 2-week period, 2 to 3 weeks. But let me bring your attention back to what happened here previously also, is that after that correction was done, within a period of 4 weeks, it just skyrocketed higher. So it went from 42 to 29 to 65. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. A pullback now could give a lot of fear. It could reset all the indicators. Everyone would get bearish again. Everyone get fearful, saying, oh, the bull market is over. We're going all the way back down. So imagine we drop down to, say, the mid to low 30,000s. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we create a bottom, ETF gets approved, and we rocket back to 50K plus, maybe then even just a continuation all the way back to the all-time high by about April. So that is kind of a scenario that is very much a real possibility at this point in time, that would play out very, very nicely. It would flush out all the greed. So imagine it drops to something like this, and then it just continues up like this. Imagine this. And everyone would kind of get bearish here at the lows. And if this were to happen, a $10,000 drop on Bitcoin, I would expect altcoins also to get hit pretty hard. I'm talking between 20 and 50% on altcoins. Not every single one, but altcoins, they've been experiencing a lot of upside lately, so it's very easy for them to sell off pretty large but then continue higher. So why I'm warning you about this now is that this possibility, if it ends up playing out, again, never guaranteed, but if it plays out, you would be prepared for it, and this drop here into the mid to low 30s would give an optimal buying opportunity. Imagine this plays out and it drops to like, say, 34 and then it goes to 70, right? Like, wouldn't you want to buy that dip? So that gives you a bit of an idea and a bit of an indication, and being able to be prepared. Number one, if you are still in profits now and you're over leveraged or you're overexposed, you can reduce that exposure and make sure you don't get wrecked if it does drop by $10,000 on Bitcoin in the next before the end of January. But it also gives you the opportunity that if you are prepared and you are positioned and you have risk capital available, if this does play out like this and we do get that drop to the mid 30,000s, then you have that capital to deploy potentially at the best, most optimal points of the remainder of this bullish trend. Because if this repeats this scenario, which I've been saying for a while is a possibility so far, you know, we had this move up here, and if we get that pullback and then continuation, similar thing here, and then that would line up with my theory of potentially a peak in April or May. So we get this drop in January, then maybe an ETF approval, then everything rockets higher and we see everything go up like crazy for the next 3 months or so following that. It is all just probabilities, it's all just ideas, but it is based on previous price action. And because these markets can only go up, down, or sideways, these patterns tend to repeat themselves in similar ways. So again, there's a similarity here. We had this run up here, just like we did. We're in January. We're potentially due for a correction due to the one-sided positioning and everyone being greedy towards expecting an ETF approval in the next few days. What if we only get it, say, in a month from now, and we get a delay and then it just causes a sell-off and it plays out in this way? So that is my thoughts for now as a potential scenario. We will obviously continue to monitor this in the short term, see how it develops. If you want real-time updates, come and join me inside VIP. I share daily charts and insights in Discord. I can't do that on YouTube. I do that in Discord, and you can ask questions and have chart requests and join the discussion. The link is in the description down below if you want to join us. 60-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Come and sign up. Come and see for yourself. Join us in there, and I will see you in the next video.